What is happening, people? Just when I thought, I'm gonna have a quiet night, something happens, and that's the sport of boxing at the minute. I mean, there's a lot of news stories happening. But if you haven't heard, and you've been living on the rock for the past hour. Um, Eddie Hearn has announced the signing of the UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall for his new Matchroom talent agency. Now, before I get into that, as ever, guys, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the algorithm, and we want to have a big 2026. But that aside, let's just delve into the news quickly. I got this newsletter through from Matchroom around 6:10, and by 6:30, I'd booked my train to go to the press conference tomorrow in London. So it's exciting times, and yeah, I can't wait to get on that train and attend the press conference. But just going through the what the talent agency is, and then I just want to give my thoughts. So, it's Matchroom Sports' new brand of talent management created by Eddie Hearn to manage and service leading sport and entertainment talent with care and loyalty, nurturing athletes' careers by managing their brand and building their reputations. So, yeah, I mean, this is sort of how Eddie Hearn started out. I think he worked with IMG on there. I think he started out in golf and worked with IMG before then working for his dad and becoming a promoter. But just my immediate reaction on it. I was doing a little bit of research as well on Tom Aspinall and his current structure, and according to Ariel Hawani, who I've just watched a video on, incidentally, Tom Aspinall likes to keep his circle quite small. His manager was his father, which gives an idea of how close knit he wants his circle to be. And yeah, he's got a small team around him. Uh, Look, I mean, there's a lot of animosity between Dana White and Eddie Hearn. So when I go to this press conference tomorrow, I do want to ask, if I get the opportunity to interview Eddie, I want to ask him, like, how much of that is this a reactive signing, or is it a proactive signing? Is the only reason you're signing Tom Aspinall because it's a way of clapping back at Dana White, or is it a case of, are you wanting to really do this? Now, on the latter part, I did sort of see Anthony Joshua reaching out to Eddie Hearn previously. I think maybe about 3-4 months ago, about them getting into football and sort of helping the structure there. So maybe this has been in the works, and maybe I know you went on the Ariel Hawani show previously, and they were speaking a little bit about MMA. So yeah, I mean, in terms of how the deal would look like, it does look like a management deal. So he's gonna look after his commercial interests outside the octagon, inside the octagon, which would be interesting to see how he fares and negotiates against Dana White. And an interesting point actually on the Helwani show was one of the guys sort of said that you know it could either be a good thing that you know um Tom Aspinall has employed Eddie Hearn to sort of help him on his behalf, but it could also be a very negative thing as well. So the the negative thing is the UFC are notorious for not working with managers they deem fit, they deem not UFC friendly. So that there've been instances where Hawani says where they've just refused to work with a manager, and instead they've gone through the fighter themselves, sort of making the manager redundant, and um yeah, like reducing the need for a manager anyhow. On the flip side, if you work with a manager that the UFC likes, then they'll entertain it and they're more likely to give you an offer, which seems very counterintuitive for the fighter, right? Because if the UFC is working with a manager that they like, ultimately, are they acting for the interest of the UFC, or are they acting for the interest of the fighter? And I guess a lot of it is, given the way Dana White operates, it's a centralized model. They like to keep a lot of their revenue to themselves, as opposed to paying fighters. I think it's 20% of the revenue, as opposed to boxing, which is 60 to 70%. So there's a big discrepancy there in terms of fighter pay. So it'd be interesting to see that. And I guess the good thing for um Tom Aspinall is that you've got Eddie Hearn who's got a bit between his teeth in the sense that Dana's just taken his prized asset or one of Matchroom's prized asset in terms of Conor Ben. So is because they've taken Conor Ben and they've paid over the odds. Let's face it, over the odds. Although longer term it could be good in terms of a short term signing. They have paid over the odds $15 million. Now, if Conor Ben is worth $15 million to fight Regis Prograis, how much is Tom Aspinall worth? Who is incidentally also UFC's heavyweight champion. So they're gonna have to pay him a little bit more. They're gonna have to pay above the odds. So yeah, interesting to see how that dynamic works. And one of the many questions I want to ask. Currently, just looking at some of the um looking at some of the sort of social media stuff that Matchroom already put out. It seems as though the deal was finalized pretty quickly. It seems they just flew to Monaco, where I think he lives, and they hashed out a deal there and then. So is this a is this just a one off, or are you guys actively looking to sign talent? And yeah, um, what else? Um, it'd be interesting to see as well if they look to any other sport. If they look to get, are they going to go into football? Are they going to go into they're going to sign more MMA fighters? Maybe at this event tomorrow there'll be more and more people from different disciplines and different sort of sporting um sporting backgrounds that are going to come. Is it just sport? Are they is it are they wanting to make this a big thing? Is this a way of competing? Like, are they? Is this their way of answering back to Dana White and TKO? In the sense that that they're gonna, if they are gonna sort of compete with them, are they going to just try and increase the size of the company by just going into different sports? Sort of like what TKO are doing. I mean, they've got the WWE, they've got obviously they're a multi billion pound industry, but is that the sort of model that the Matchroom are coming against? That I think that'd be quite an interesting um question to ask. And then if I do get the opportunity to speak with Tom, it'd be a case of why Eddie, why trust someone who is at who's locked horns against your, I guess, the person that is responsible for who you fight. And I don't think I know Tom Aspinall has spoken previously about wanting to get into boxing, but I don't think this in this is on the premise that Tom Aspinall goes into boxing. I think this is just the MMA specifically. Now I just want to close this video out because this is still a little bit light on detail on how it's going to operate. So as I go to this press conference tomorrow, I want to ask the questions um, that I've just reeled off. But just my final thoughts. I mean, I think as a sportsman and as an athlete, do you want you? I think you want someone like Eddie Hearn on your side, and through the emotion that he has towards his fighters is something that is there for all to see. Seen it against Dalton Smith, you've seen it against Josh Kelly, you've seen it against um Chisora. His emotion, he's emotionally invested in the fighter, and maybe it's sort of gone against him when it comes to Conor Ben. Maybe he's too over emotional, but it shows he cares. And I guess as a fighter, you want someone like that. You want someone who cares, and he clearly does. So, from that perspective, yeah, it's the only thing that maybe Tom Aspinall could be a little bit wary of. Is could his conflict with Dana White hinder him in any way? But I guess Tom Tom Aspinall is a smart guy. He's not. I guess this would have been ironed out, and he would have gotten his answers. So yeah, just my um initial thoughts. This could change in the next week. It could change in the next day. There could be a dozen more athletes that they're signing. Oh, and actually as well, it's kind of a bit of a trend because you've seen Ben Shalom getting into football with his partnering with a football agency. You've got Eddie Hearn now doing the same thing. Queensbury, are they going to come out? I know Frank is an Arsenal fan. Is that something that they're gonna do? Interesting times. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.